We're here today with Dr. Michael Warholic, R&D at Valvoline. Thanks for coming here today. Let's talk about oils. Oil changes are usually consumer routine maintenance, but why is it so important?
Yeah, oil change is one of the cheapest insurance you can have for your vehicle. The engine is a very severe environment, as you can imagine. You have explosions, you have gas being burnt, right? And the oil's at the forefront of that. And oil does break down over time. Even the best oil has components in it that break down. Anti-wear additives, antioxidants, detergents. We like to call oil the garbage dump of the engine because all the bad stuff ends up in the garbage dump. And ultimately you have to take out the garbage, right? Because ultimately it meets the capacity of that oil, right? Even the best oil. So a routine oil change, and you want to follow your owner's manual for when that is, right? Is important to protect your engine, but also to make it efficient and to get the most out of it.
Yeah, that's good. It just cleans it out. So with that said, what does the oil actually do for an engine?
Oh, it does so many things. We'll hit the top five, I think. But so number one, it lubricates, right? So metal parts in an engine, there's hundreds of moving parts in an engine, right? If you didn't have an oil in there, you can imagine rubbing your fingers together, you can feel the friction and the heat being generated. But if you dip your finger in oil, like olive oil or something, and rub your fingers together, it just gets so smooth and easy, right? That's what happens to oil in an engine, right? So those parts have to be lubricated. Number two is quite surprising, it cools. There's a lot of heat generated in an engine from the combustion, right around the piston area, and the oil actually absorbs that heat. Some heat goes into the engine block too, of course, and ultimately to the coolant and to your radiator, but the oil is at the forefront of that and takes the brunt of that. So it has to be able to cool the engine. It has to clean the engine. So as you can imagine, all those byproducts are being generated from combustion. So sludge and soot and just all these breakdown products have to get protected by the oil. And they get actually absorbed into the oil and they kind of float around in the oil, end up in your sump, and then go out when you change your oil. Number four is it seals. So around the piston ring, when the piston's going up and down, that ring flexes. There's an oil film between the ring and the cylinder wall. And the pressure of that combustion event, if that oil wasn't there, it would go right around the ring and you wouldn't get the horsepower or the mechanical energy you get from the combustion event, right? And number five, it improves the efficiency of the engine. It keeps it running at whatever the OEM specifications are, right? So in terms of horsepower, in terms of fuel economy, if the oil wasn't there, the engine couldn't do its job.
Yeah, and there's so many important points there. So with all those in mind, why is it important to pick a specific brand or a good brand of oil?
Yeah, it's incredibly important, especially as today, engines are getting smaller and smaller. You're getting a lot more power out of them. They're getting hotter. And oil viscosity just are getting lower and lower, too, to get more efficiency. So OEMs are pushing 0.16s and 0.8s, right? The oil is doing a lot more. You want to follow your owner's manual. So look in your owner's manual. It's going to give you two very important pieces of information. The viscosity grade, so whether it's a 530 or a 020 or whatever the viscosity grade is for that engine. It's also going to give you what specification it calls for. So that could be an ILSAC or API specification, which is our industry specs. And if you look at a bottle of oil, and if you look at the front, where we see the starburst on the front, that means that it meets a certain level of performance. Okay. And it's gone through a bevy of tests, engine tests, bench test, to show that it meets a certain performance requirement.
Right, it's like a quality mark.
Exactly, yeah. And then on the back, typically what you'll see is a list of the specifications in more detail. So if it's an API spec or an ILSAC spec, but also if it's a European vehicle, or if it's GM, which has their own Dexos specification, it'll be listed there. So you want to make sure that you get the right oil from a minimum specification with the right performance for that engine, because the OEM, the engineers there have designed that engine to work in a very specific manner. And with today's engines, they're even more complex. You have to make sure you get the right oil in there.
Right, and with the new advancement in engines, it's really important to pick the very specific type of oil for that engine.
Absolutely.
Now, when it comes to picking out oils for special cases like high mileage or restore and protect, how can they be guaranteed that what it says on the bottle it's actually going to do?
Yeah, I think that goes to what I do actually at Valvoline, right? So we're data driven. So it's amazing to me, I've been in this industry for almost 25 years now, is the amount of testing that's done on engine oil will just baffle most people, right? We do testing every day. It's what my life is running engine tests. We run tribology tests where we're looking at friction and wear in the lab. We're doing physical chemical tests. So all these oils go through a very severe slate of tests. But then you start looking at, okay, what's the consumer want in terms of performance? Some may want more deposit protection. So restore and protect removes deposits. They may want that. They may have an older engine. So if it has 75,000 miles or more, they may want to protect the seals, right, so they don't get oil leakage. Or they have more blow-by, so they want to make sure the oxidation is protected, so the thermal protection of the engine is there. So each oil has a specific performance parameter, and it's built with data, right? So again, it's engine testing, it's bench testing, and you'll see in the bottle listed those specific parameters.
Right. So you've gone through all the tests to make sure that what's on this bottle is true.
Absolutely right. So it's all data-driven, it's all science-driven, and we even go above and beyond that to make sure that the data that we use to support our products is sound and statistically relevant. Yeah.
That's great. I appreciate you being here today. Thanks for coming out. And guys, you've got a lot of info on oil today, so thank you for watching.